Welcome back to Warcraft Rewrite. My name's Angelai, and as always, I'm joined by Dryan. Dry, how you feeling?
Feeling good. Excited for the first episode of hopefully many, honestly.
Absolutely. Today's episode, we're going over should Arthas have died? I've heard multiple fan theories and ideas, especially where it all started for me was I was watching a Nixium video, and he was talking about how the death of Arthas was the downfall of the World of Warcraft. With the charts and numbers, it shows that after Wrath of the Lich King, subscribers just drastically dropped off. Do you think that had to deal with Arthas dying?
I think it did because in the Warcraft universe, Arthas was such a huge inspiration and a huge character that when you're watching a TV show and people's favorite character dies in the TV show, a lot of people stop watching it because they're like, well, I don't really want to watch it anymore. I feel like that happened with Arthas, a lot of people's favorite character, and when he died, they're like, well, that's it. I feel like they felt like the story had a natural conclusion.
And it just ended. Way to kill off my favorite character.
Yeah, and so sticking around, a lot of people are like, well, I'm good. But there have been a lot more better or good stories since Wrath of the Lich King. I just feel like a lot of people said, hey, I'm good. That was its natural conclusion. I wanted to see where Arthas' story ended, and it ended, so I am fine.
So, a lot of people are also thinking, it's not just my favorite character died in a good way, and now the story's over. It was more of, why did they do that? Why didn't they just hold on to him? Why would you destroy such an amazing key character to the story?
Well, I feel like Wrath had also been building up to us defeating the Lich King.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard to have such a renowned and powerful character stick around forever. There was never going to be Arthas living forever and him just trapped in the ice. Eventually he was going to escape, and they were going to say, hey, what do we do with him?
How do we stop this threat? Because in Classic, we had to stop Ragnaros. We literally killed him. Technically banished him back. And then Nefarian and Onyxia, we kill them officially, so they're dead. And then in BC, well, then again, we trap Illidan. But, I guess they do come back. But with Arthas, Blizzard was seeing it as, you're not killing the Lich King. You're killing Arthas, just a pawn of the Lich King. It's not him officially. But everybody loved Arthas. And so yes, it was a good thing that they had Bolvar take over. I think that they were like, look, see, he's still around, even though it wasn't Arthas. Arthas had such a big backstory and connections with almost everyone in the entire universe, and it seems kind of disgraceful to slap him across the face like that. And now we think, well, how do we fix that? What do you think? How should Arthas have lived?
The problem is, I feel like to let Arthas live, the biggest question has to be answered, and that's what do we do with him? Because you can't just forgive him for everything he's done. I mean, he's committed so many atrocities, so many
war crimes.
So many war crimes, and so many things that you can't just be like, it's fine. He's fine. Just let him, pat him on the back. He's good. Let's get out of here.
Listen, you may have murdered my entire family and culture. You're fine. But, we'll let you walk.
Darn it, you are so cool.
You're so hot.
But
oh, you're so hot. I love you.
I love you so much. You just can't let him live. And I know that a lot of people are like, well, he could join this group, or he could talk with Myrnin who lived, and they could make up. The problem is that it's not just a case of people forgiving him. Everybody, the Blood Elves hate him. Sylvanas despises. Sylvanas would not let this man live.
Oh, no. Sylvanas was ready to fight him until the end of the world. And even if they magically found a way to give him a pat on the back, she would still find a way to kill him. Even though it wasn't him. It was Nur'Zul whispering to him and causing him to go mad and crazy. But Sylvanas would not be happy until Arthas himself died. I guess they would have to throw him into like a jail, and we could let Heroes of the Ebon Blade give him like a supermax prison, kind of like Super Panda and Tai Lung, just a prison just for one person kind of vibe.
I feel like that's the only way realistically Arthas would live, is that, you know, at the end of Wrath of the Lich King, we go in, fight Arthas, and he's on the ground dying. His sword breaks, and his dad says the iconic line of, "No Keenless rules forever," right? Mm-hmm. And we're like, all right, great. We did it. We killed him. Is Invincible dropping? No, son of a biscuit. All right. And then we continue on.
I didn't get the damn horse, not again. And then Bolfar takes on the crown still, but then the Knights of the Ebon Blade take him away.
I mean, that's what we can do, is just let the Knights of the Ebon Blade take him, and then but it has to be top secret information, because otherwise he has a bounty on his head, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants him dead. Sylvanas, the Blood Elves, the humans, everybody who Arthas is wrong, which is, I mean...
Everyone.
It'd be
Everyone
easier,
in Eastern Kingdoms.
It'd be easier to list who he hasn't.
Mm-hmm. Multiple demon lords, you know, the usual.
Right, yeah, so it has to be top secret information that nobody else could see. I mean, nobody could know except us, Bolvar, and the Paladin, whose name I'm forgetting.
Tyrion.
It has to be top secret.
Yeah, and then that way Blizzard can hold on to the IP of Arthas Menethil, and we can use him later, which, sadly, the one time that he would come later is the expansion. You know the one I'm talking about.
I do, yes, unfortunately.
Shadowlands. I'm sorry I had to say it. I did. And trust me, guys, we will fix Shadowlands in the future. We've been talking about it. I can't wait to make that episode. But yes, we have an idea for all that, because
that's going to be like a 3-hour episode of just us complaining.
Like 4 episodes deep of just gagging every time we say the word Shadowlands. But don't worry, we have a plan to fix it. But it would be nice, because instead of Arthas being a little ball of light, he would be a prisoner. We ask the Ebon Blade to break him out, and we say, hey, you know the most about this unknown world. Come help us save our people, and you know what? In return, you can feel like you're yourself again, like a paladin of the Holy Light. Do it for Invincible. Don't look at Tom. He may have looted it already. Yeah.
There's a lot of... I mean, that's for a future episode, right? We don't want to get too deep into how to include him in Shadowlands, because I feel like that will be its own episode in time. But the thing about letting Arthas live, too, is that not only does it have to be top secret and nobody can know about it, also changes things. Mm-hmm. A lot of things that people have to be okay with all of a sudden.
Plus, the crown, there has to be a constant connection with Nur'Zul. Otherwise, the Scourge will go crazy all over the world. So they need someone to take over, and that's why we said Bolfar would take it like he did in the game, so that the Scourge can stay completely sane. Which, throughout the game, people thought, oh, it's still Nur'Zul, he's planning something. But to be honest, all the way up through Shadowlands, I know I said the word again, he did a very good job at controlling the undead, I feel. He wasn't trying to hide anything. It wasn't like Nur'Zul was in control. It was still Bolfar in control, making sure that the Scourge were in check, even though he was kind of doing sketchy stuff during Legion, and he was creating the 4 Horsemen again. They didn't really get into the reason of why, but, you know, Death Knights be Death Knights.
I also feel like we would have another issue with the Knights of the Ebon Blade watching over Arthas, because a lot of them would be loyal to Arthas. Like, he's the first Death Knight. He's the one who kind of kickstarted all this. So I'm surprised that Blizzard also hasn't gone to the route of people viewing Arthas as a martyr.
Well, when I played a Death Knight, during Light's Hope Chapel, you see him abuse that group of Death Knights, just that one group, the Ebon Blade. He was like, I don't care about the Ebon Blade. It was just meant for you to come out of hiding, basically. And the Ebon Blade was like, all right, we're going to now go after Arthas and kill him. And in Legion, when we get our artifact weapons, the Lich King whispers to us, and Darian Mograine himself said, let's just do what he says. I don't want to deal with the Scourge causing chaos across the world again. I hate working with him too. And everybody like in the Ebon Blade's like, I don't want to work for the Lich King again. I can't work for Nur'Zul. And he's like, listen guys, we basically have to do it. Otherwise he can cause mass devastation. So I feel like there would be possibly a few cultists inside the Ebon Blade that'd be like, I thought he was pretty cool, but a lot of people in the Ebon Blade absolutely hated the Lich King,
Right. Well, also, another reason to keep it a huge secret is another kind of hiccup is that, yes, Arthas fell, but if he still lived, Nur'Zul would be a constant threat to the Ebon Blade.
Yeah.
Yes, Bolvar has the helmet. I believe that he would still be trying to find a way to get to Arthas because Arthas he can control.
It's still whisper
Arthas
to him.
he can whisper to him. He can control him, mold him. Obviously, he's done it before. He can do it again.
That would be pretty interesting to like break him out, and then he'd be like, "I still hear the whispers."
Right, because Nur'Zul is trying with Bolvar. Bolvar's not having it. He's not listening. He has more mental strength than Arthas did, and Nur'Zul is like kind of throwing a hissy fit saying, how dare he, I am the one in control, I am the Lich King. And Bolvar's like,
no, I'm the Lich King. No, I'm the Lich King.
It's kind of like the dinner scene in the book with Arthas, Nur'Zul, and the child.
Yeah.
Except that was just Bolvar and Nur'Zul going back and forth arguing. And Bolvar's humanity backing him up and be like, yeah. You don't know what
Dry is talking about. In the book, Arthas, Rise of the Lich King, there's a scene where he's in his own head and he's at a table, and sitting next to him is Nur'Zul the Orc, and then the other side is the child, that little bit of hope that's inside of him, a child version of him. And eventually, into the discussion, Arthas just kills the small child, aka killing the last little bit of humanity in him. And then Nur'Zul's like, very good, child, you're doing great. We are one. And then Arthas just stabs Nur'Zul and says, no, I am the one. So...
not a good day for humanity.
So, it's time to rewrite history. But first... to the billing department.
Traveling through Wellwind Forest again, looking around at all the bandits and wolves, maybe a murloc or two. Do you have those midnight Azeroth cravens that hit like a world boss? Maddie Mace has you covered. Hearthstone on cooldown, mana running low, or maybe you just sat down in the middle of a solo delve to catch your breath. A chocolate chip cookie from Maddie Mae's Bakery will help take care of those sweet, delightful cravings. It's like getting that flying mount for the first time again, soaring up to the top of Ice Crown Citadel. That sugary rush of sweet cookie goodness helps you create the same satisfaction over and over again. In packs of 6 or 12, you can cure that sweet Azeroth craving without the needing to leave the comfort of your own dungeon. Just visit MaddieMaeSweets.com and place your order today.
Now let's get back into it. So the what if Arthas doesn't die, he gets jailed in by the Ebon Blade, but there's a lot of repercussions that lead to that too, which is Sylvanas. What does she do? She goes up, Arthas's body is missing. Now, in the original timeline, she sees his dead body and throws herself off ICC, impaling her onto a spike. She goes into the underworld, seeing Halia Helia. I think they retconned it where she also sees the jailer, and he gives her the plans that eventually lead to Shadowlands. Disgusting. Is she jumping from ICC if Arthas is not there?
I feel like the answer would be yes, because here's why I think so. I feel like she would also be kind of view it as hopelessness, because she, again, has no idea where Arthas is. Mm-hmm. And she spent so many years trying to get access to Arthas only for it to be stripped from her. All of a sudden, his body's missing. She has no idea where he's at. It's gone. Hope is lost. She's done. So instead of her herself as a way of seeing, like, okay, my job's complete, it's a hopelessness of I'll never kill him.
I'll never be able to break into the Ebon Blade prison where they have them kept.
Well, right, but at this point, she doesn't know where.
She doesn't know. Okay.
It's top secret information, especially from her, because Sylvanas is honestly one of the most dangerous adversaries you can have in World of Warcraft.
Oh yeah.
Before they retconned her into making. And anyway.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
She has access to undead, and she herself is a banshee. She can do all kinds of things that no normal human can do. So if anybody could break into an Ebonhold prison, I could see her doing it.
I don't know. I feel like they would plan for any form of scourge / undead creatures to break into the prison to try and break him out. So I think it would be a little bit of banshee proof.
Well, I agree, but that's why I'm saying I feel like they would just be like, okay, nobody can know, especially not her.
Yeah, okay. I see.
Because why chance it, you know?
Mm-hmm. So she still throws herself off. She herself, sees the visions, and then we just tell the world, don't worry, Arthas is gone. Everyone does a sigh of relief.
Everybody breathes a sigh of relief. Jaina cries into her pillow at night because her and Arthas had something special.
And possibly a child. And when I'm looking at you.
Hey. Future episode.
Sorry.
Cries into her pillow. Her first love, her first kiss, her first time is gone. And everybody breathes a sigh of relief. Little do they know, Arthas is in prison, probably very angry that he was captured and now has no power, no access to anything. And now he's just screwed.
He's completely messed up. Do you think that in any of the expansions, so let's see here, that would be Cataclysm, Miss Pandaria, Warlords of Draenor, and Legion, BFA, Shadowlands. So throughout any of the expansions until Shadowlands, does Arthas ever get brought up or talked about?
I feel, especially in Legion, in the class order hall, because I haven't played a Death Knight in a long time. I'm a druid main. If you want to ask me about the Emerald Dream, ask me about the Emerald Dream. But
future episode.
I don't know much about it, so you'll have to answer this for me, Inglai.
Okay. The Ebonhold is teleported to the Broken Shore. Bolfar whispers to you because he wants to do some stuff to get ready for the Legion invasion to try and help with it, to which he does help, but it's mostly in your order hall. You don't really see it outside of your order hall, except for probably a couple of Death Knights here or there. Would Bolfar have the strength to hold back Nur'Zul from saying, hey, we have an amazing fighter. He's locked up right now. You should go unlock him. He loves killing demons. I mean, he's done it for his whole life.
I feel like it would be a constant fight in the Ebonhold because, again, I feel like they would have a lot of defenses to try to keep Arthas under wraps, right? Like,
yeah.
Magical wards probably would bring in a powerful mage, maybe Khadgar, maybe Jaina.
Powerful mages, probably powerful paladins using the Holy Light to hold him back.
That's true. Maybe after Arthas was captured in this timeline, we could ask, not Uther, oh gosh, his name.
Uther would have died already.
Right, Tyrion. I mix up Tyrion and Uther, I'm so sorry.
But
white guys with beards get me.
Tyrion would have been watching Arthas, then he wouldn't have been on the Broken Shore and be killed by the demon dropping the Ashbringer for the paladins to pick up.
Okay, I also don't play paladin.
That's
but
right.
No,
I also
I'm
mean a
talking.
paladin.
I'm talking about like right after Arthas is kidnapped, not
Okay.
necessarily on the Broken Shore. Like at that time, I'm talking like, okay, Tyrion, instead of doing whatever he does after the events of Wrath, he goes with the Ebon Blades and he creates wards to keep Arthas in place because
Okay.
they need something to keep Arthas in check. He's a powerful, powerful being, even if he doesn't have the power of the Lich King at the moment.
Yeah.
He's still influential and powerful. So they would need something to ward that off, in my opinion. I mean, so I feel like they would ask Tyrion, like, hey, we need some wards to keep him in check. And Tyrion would be like, okay, I know of a few.
I know of a spell or two. I learned it from Uther. He used to torture demons. Good times.
Great times, even. Answer me this. Does Tyrion die in the Class Order Hall missions?
Tyrion does die on the Broken Shore by a demon.
Well, then that could be a problem. If he's the one who helps the wards, but you put in place, and he dies, and those wards go away.
That would be interesting.
So maybe part of the order hall for the Death Knights is getting those wards in place before Arthas, number one, realizes, and number two, breaks out.
That would be crazy, because technically Tyrion dies in the very, beginning of Legion, with alternate Gul'dan coming through and causing the second Legion invasion, not second, 20th Legion invasion on Azeroth.
R.I.P. my king.
That's all right. That would be interesting to watch Tyrion die, the wards weaken, and then the Knights of the Ebon Blade get contacted from the Lich King saying, you need to go down into your prison because I can sense Nur'Zul trying to whisper to Arthas. And then you have to go down there and then kind of have to debate, should you release Arthas? Because he would be a great fighter for killing demons, but he's also kind of crazy. It's kind of like the whole Thomas Tomlinson with the Headless Horseman, how he was a part of the Scarlet Crusade. And he went insane after killing his family because he was just crazy. And the Scarlet Crusade would send him into demon-infested villages just to start slaughtering. And then he started slaughtering Scarlet Crusade soldiers, so that's why they locked him up. But it's kind of like that, but on a whole nother level. Would Arthas be set free? If they did, then what would he do during BFA? And then Shadowlands, he's definitely coming back in Shadowlands because we'll need his help to navigate what's on the other side. But it would be interesting to see Arthas out and about during Legion with everybody just staring at him, unless if we keep him locked up in the Order Hall.
I just feel like it would have to be a well-kept secret until Shadowlands.
It would be like Kelia, his sister, coming out during Legion in the Priest Order Hall. Do they just keep them in the Order Halls?
She stayed in the Order Hall because she didn't want to be revealed at... I do play a priest, and I did the Priest Order Hall campaign. Mm-hmm. And they kept her in there because she didn't want to reveal herself because, again, she had a very angry banshee after the Menethil family. And if Sylvanas discovered that she was alive, it could cause a whole slew of problems. And I can't imagine if she had discovered Arthas on the shores of the Broken Shore, and she would just abandon everything to go kill that man.
I also forgot. That was also the expansion where Sylvanas becomes the war chief. You know what? Let's keep Arthas locked up. It would be interesting. It would be a nice way, actually, to introduce that Arthas is still there. It would be amazing. The wards break. As a Death Knight, you have to go there, or even as a Paladin side quest, too, for their Order Hall. Go into the jail, refortify the wards, and then it's just a nice, subtle hint after so many expansions saying, Arthas is still here. And then we have we have Battle for Azeroth, and then finally Shadowlands, and then that's when we get to meet Arthas again. But that would be a nice, just little hint hey, he's still here. You know?
Right, yeah. I agree, because if we bring it back during Legion, I feel like that's almost too soon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because he's a powerful, like, what's the word? Bargaining chip.
Oh, yeah.
And also, we cannot trust this man.
Oh, and Sylvanas would be heavily distracted. Before, in Legion, she was going after the Lantern to get more Valkyr, but if Arthas is on the board, you know she's not going to be interested. Well, she might still be interested in the Lantern, but she will be extremely interested in going after Arthas, even though he would be inside the Order Hall of the Death Knights.
Right, and maybe the ward's breaking is like she's connected to him because of what he did to her. Mm-hmm. So maybe she senses him, even just for the briefest of seconds. She's like, that son of a...
He's still alive. He's out there. It would be also a good distraction just to make her slowly go insane.
Right, so maybe that could be the explanation of why she kind of decides to go with the jailer, because she senses Arthas. She doesn't know where he is. Nobody will talk to her and tell her where he is.
Pushes her closer to the jailer. All right, I like that.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like she's going insane, and everybody's gaslighting her, be like, Arthas is dead.
Arthas is dead. What are you talking about? He's been dead since the Third War. And she's like, I sense him.
No, you're sensing something else.
She goes to, like, people that have been killed by Arthas, too, and she's like, you can sense him, right? And they're like, no.
Question mark?
Of course not. I was told to lie to you. I'm sorry, my queen.
And, I mean, I just feel like that briefest of minutes would not... Instead of, like, the doubts she's having, like, should I go with him? Should I be with him? With the jailer? All of a sudden, this is just like, oh, okay, I'm right.
Yeah.
F humanity. They don't deserve me.
I need to get out of here right now. You are all nothing. I love that line. I gotta say, I do love that line.
It's a cool line.
It is a very cool line.
With Sylvanas being the way she is, and her hatred of not only humanity, but her beginning dive into insanity. Having Arthas alive, I feel like, would trigger a lot of that, the reasoning of what the events at the end of BFA into Shadowlands would transpire.
You know, that would really help BFA's story, because when she started doing the stuff she did as War Chief, with the burning of Teldrassil and just being against the Horde, it was very blunt for her character, because she was always there for her people. We never really expected her to go full burn down the world tree. I mean, there was like a little bit of a side to that, because, let's face it, the Forsaken aren't the nicest people. They torture people in broad daylight. Good times. But for Sylvanas to do it so quickly, it was quite a shock to not only me, I feel like a lot of players too. But if Arthas was alive, it would be a great way to show this is why she's kind of going more insane. Other than, this is the next expansion, Sylvanas is crazy. Here you go, guys. It was very blunt.
Right. Her dive into insanity, it will explore more, I feel like, once we go into the end of BFA. Because I also had some trouble with BFA story, but again, different episode. But her dive into insanity didn't make a ton of sense for how it was written. Because Sylvanas, if there's one thing that everybody was questioning about Sylvanas, they never questioned her love for the Forsaken, and they're her people. Now, in the book, Before the Storm, it kind of dives into Sylvanas and Anduin. And Anduin kind of has to deal with the loss of his father, being a king, and then Sylvanas kind of struggling with the fact that she's a war chief and the loss of Vol'jin. And in the book, it doesn't do a really good job of describing why Sylvanas is the way she is. It just kind of goes on to, like,
she's crazy.
She's crazy now.
She's crazy now. Why now? No one knows. Wait, find out next time on This is the Reason Why, Jailer. And we didn't know any of that.
The Jailer wasn't even a good villain build-up. Almost too much under wraps for us to enjoy.
Unlike all the other villains in Warcraft's history, there was a reason we kind of knew them and their motives, but we still don't even know his own motives. Anyway, let's go ahead and go to Shadowlands. Sadly, alternate universe Arthas, the Shadowland breaks. Do we set Arthas free to help us navigate through the Shadowlands?
I feel like we would have to, because this would be kind of his cup of tea. Like, okay, Arthas knows what's going on. He's familiar with this. Now, the main question is, would he help us?
That is true. In today's timeline, or like what actually happened, was Bolfar helped us get through the Shadowlands. He was describing what it's like and what he felt and what he saw. And then also, I think Medivh or Khadgar, they had a vision of the Shadowlands through Karazhan when they stood at the very top. I can't remember which one it was. Would we have both of them? Would we have both Bolfar and Arthas, or just one of them? Or maybe Bolfar actually does full-on die with the fight when she retrieves the crown.
I feel like we start off with Bolvar helping us. Because at this point, we don't really need Arthas, right?
Yeah. We
just
Bolfar.
need... Right. We're told, hey, this is going on, and he helps us because he is the Lich King at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But as we go through the Shadowlands, we're realizing more and more we're out of our element.
Especially when going through the Maw situation.
Right. And so we kind of need to recruit the one man who, not that he would know the Shadowlands because he's never been, but we would kind of be like, hey, our leaders are captured. You understand the jailer because he spent, unfortunately, in canon, he's the one who helped create the helmet.
Yes. You know the Ruin Carver. You know the jailer the best out of anyone on the planet. Can you please help us? And that would be an amazing, quest to go down through the dungeon that held him. Kind of like, again, in Kung Fu Panda with Tai Lung. But there's also other movies where they have that trope where it's an entire prison for just one prisoner. And I just really like that. But to go through that quest line of going down through this dungeon made just for Arthas, for us to be like, hey, buddy, you want to get free?
At first, he righteously and probably correctly tells us to go, jump off a cliff.
Oh, yeah.
No offense, Sylvanas.
Sorry, Sylvanas.
But he tells us, go jump off a cliff. And we're like, no, you don't understand. We need your help. And he's like, why would I help you? You're the one you're the people who imprisoned me.
Because you get to kill Sylvanas.
Well, not only that, but we also say, they took Jaina.
Ooh, I like that.
And him, even though he ripped his own heart out, he still is like, they took who? They did what?
Where's my locket? You took it?
He gets upset, he gets angry, and he agrees to help on the condition that after he's free, after we do all this, he gets to go free.
That'd be crazy. To prove himself to be worthy again. I wonder, it would be interesting if we gave him a new heart.
I mean, we have a perfectly good heart down in,
his original
Ice
heart?
Crown. Yeah, but
I thought we destroyed it.
I don't remember.
I thought in the quest we went down there, destroyed it so that he became weaker. Because he was still attached to the heart. Yeah, I think we destroyed it. That would be interesting if we made him a new heart. We go in, he helps us just like Bolfar did, but a little bit better because, he's Arthas. Now, what do you think the meetup with Arthas and Uther would be like? Now, keep in mind that Bolfar would still have that horrible scene where he drops Arthas' soul into the maw, because Arthas' soul was split in half by the Ruin Carver. So Arthas' body and soul, we get to see that half, but Uther would have tossed the other half in the maw. What do you think Arthas would be like seeing Uther, and then Uther seeing Arthas after literally throwing a fragment of his soul down into the hell, literally?
I feel like it'd be confusion, hatred, and a little bit of relief to know that, because I could also see Uther being regretful of his actions, and being like, what have I done?
I shouldn't have done it. And then
Yeah.
after seeing Arthas, he's like, I really shouldn't have done it. Now, one problem,
Right.
would Anduin, I think Anduin would still be locked up and used to get to the Archon. It would be kind of funny to see the jailer try to use Arthas as a key to get to the Archon, but he's too corrupted, let's face it.
Oh gosh, he's not even whole at this point.
No, he's so corrupted, Bastion wouldn't take him.
Bastion, he'd step foot. It's kind of like if it's kind of like if a Satanist enters a church. I assume they just catch on fire.
Oh yeah, I would. I mean,
They just all of a sudden Arthas steps toward Bastion. All of a sudden, he just catches on fire. He's like, "This is fine."
This is the worst place ever. I hate it. It's too shiny. I want to go to Revendreth. That place looks cool.
Right? I just feel like now a question for you, Anglai.
Yes.
Would we have to go get the part of the soul that Uther dropped into the maw?
That would be nice. Because, well, is the soul that the jailer used to put in the blade for Anduin to get corrupted, was that the soul that Uther dropped in? Or is there like 3 soul fragments for Arthas?
I think there's only 2 that I know of.
Okay, so let's say that is the same soul fragment.
To be honest with you, partway through Shadowlands' story, I stopped paying attention.
It would be nice, it would be nice that when we got done with the final raid and we kill Anduin, I wish, we get the soul fragment back. And instead of it being a little wisp ball and flickered away, Arthas is there and he gets his soul fully back.
And he accepts his role and duty and redeems himself fully.
Now that would be nice. Now,
and
the same thing happened with Sylvanas, but she had to pay for her sins by going into the maw and claiming all the souls that were in its wrong place. Would Arthas have to go have a same trial? Like, no one would accept him back on Azeroth, right?
Correct. I feel like he probably would, when we start to return to Azeroth and Anduin does his, I can't return quite yet.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like maybe Arthas would be like, I have a duty here in the land of the dead, and I want to help shepherd lost souls. You can't go to the mall because they would try to kill each other. Sylvanas and Arthas would try to kill each other.
Yeah, we got to keep them separated.
He's not going to the mall. But I feel like as Arthas' natural conclusion, because he was a paladin, and he just listened to the corruption of Nur'Zul, I feel like Bastion probably wouldn't welcome him, but Bastion is also the place of redemption and the place to help lost souls. I feel like Arthas would be like, you know what? I'm ready. I want to help lost souls, and I want to prove myself to be worthy of an afterlife.
And then that's where we leave him. Back with his old mentor, kind of, Myrddin was, but a little bit of Uther was his mentor too. And that'd be a sweet way that Blizzard could actually sign off the character. Technically still in the back of the pocket, but it would be nice for him to have a fully rounded story like that.
It would be, to give him a final goodbye, but also, and maybe him and Jaina share one final goodbye, and he apologizes for putting her through everything.
Mm-hmm.
And she gets her closure, and they can finally rest in peace, knowing Arthas is finally redeemed. He no longer hears Nur'Zul, and he can finally have a peaceful afterlife.
Now that sounds nice. That
does.
That's it. What would have happened if Arthas would have lived? And you know what? I think they should have at this point, after hearing that.
Honestly, it's a better conclusion than whatever the hell Shadowlands had.
Absolutely. Let us know in the comments below. Does that alternate history sound good? Would you do something else? I think we did our best for this idea. And if you have any alternate history ideas, leave them in the comments below. Anything you have to say, Dry?
Thank you so much for listening. I've been Dryan. This has been my co-host, Anglai.
Yo.
And we thank you very much. Remember to, if you want more Warcraft Rewrite, subscribe to our Patreon and subscribe.
See ya.